Welcome to the Bodybuilding Corner. Each month I will discuss some bodybuilding tips for individuals, both male and female, that just want to get ripped. Although there's been a paradigm shift in the way trainers train their clients, mainly the emphasis placed on core stabilization, balance, and integrated strength, many individuals, in spite of that, still just want to get increase of muscle size and increase in muscle definition. Although I think it's in the best interest of the bodybuilder to be open to this new paradigm shift, as I think it can boost their gains as well as prevent injury. So let's get down to business and talk about a bodybuilding technique that's been around for many years called PreExhaust. Now, PreExhaust, I found out about it years ago when I was training real heavily under the tutelage of Mike Mentzer. I wasn't with him, but I was reading a lot of his stuff, as well as Arthur Jones and the Nautilus equipment, and their whole system was on PreExhaust. Now, if it was before that, it's before my time. That was in the 70s. But basically, a PreExhaust exercise is, and again, this is not saying that this is the only technique that a bodybuilder or a person that's looking for increased muscle definition, like a female, would want to employ in their workouts. There's many ways to skin a cat, as they say. But if you're used to doing one system, like most people will do a pyramid type of set, which basically is you start with, a lightweight, then you go to a heavier weight on the same exercise, like a bench press, for instance, then you go to a even heavier set, and then maybe you might work down. That's particularly called a bodybuilding set. Sometimes people will stay with straight sets and do three sets of 10 or 8 at a 225 pounds, let's say, on a bench press. But this is a little different, and then they do an isolating motion next. They'll do like a fly, bodybuilding fly like this. So mainly it's usually doing a multiple joint motion, which is doing an exercise that involves more than one joint. When we're doing a bench press, we're using the shoulder, the elbow, a little bit of the wrist, okay? So there's more than one joint being rotated. Whereas when you're doing an isolation motion, there's only one joint being rotated, let's say, for instance, in the fly, or a lateral raise, or a leg extension, when you're extending only the knee, or a leg curl. Those are all examples of single joint motions. So a PreExhaust is when you do a single joint motion first, and then you do a multiple joint motion second. Now, there may be some people that are doing that without realizing why they're doing it, or they just heard about it, but I'm going to give you a little rundown on the reasoning or the rationale behind it. So if you do let's say, for instance, a fly first, bodybuilding fly, like lying on your back and just doing a fly with dumbbells, you're isolating only one joint. You're getting the chest muscles recruited, okay, or used. And because the function of the chest muscles, or one of the functions, is to actually bring the arm to the midline. So, or we call that in this field adduction, adduction. Okay, so you're isolating those muscles till you get to the point where you can't go any further. You've reached your max. Your muscles are just totally fatigued, okay? Now you would go to the next exercise, which would be a bench press, which would employ more than just the chest. It would employ the triceps, a little bit of the anterior delt, a little bit more musculature to further stimulate those fibers in the chest. Because if you were to do a set of flies again with no rest, you couldn't do it, because you need some help from other muscles. So that's the whole idea of PreExhaust, is you're getting what they call a deeper inroad to fiber recruitment. And all that means is that you're actually recruiting more musculature than you would have if you were just to stop and then wait a minute or two and then go into the next set again. Who knows, maybe you're recruiting the same muscle fibers, but you want to get a deeper inroad to fiber recruitment or muscle fibers by actually doing that single joint motion first. You do the fly, and then you go immediately into the bench press. Now, you may have to actually lower your weight on the bench press because you're going to be totally fatigued after you did it. You want to make sure that you're totally fatigued after you do those flies. Again, the flies, to review, are a single joint motion, and then you would go immediately to the bench press and do, your set. And you may have to, again, like lower your weight of maybe 20%. But you're trying to get a deeper inroad to fiber recruitment. You're trying to recruit more muscle fibers because the triceps now, when you're doing the bench press,